What up? It's Brian the Illustrator. I'm back to break down another graphic for you guys. The fun thing a lot of the time about doing vintage stuff is you can be funny, you can be light. A lot of vintage graphics are puns. A lot of them are corny puns. A lot of the kind of more modern streetwear stuff that you see that has humor in it is really kind of shock humor, or it's like on the nose. Vintage stuff is dad jokes, dad puns, any kind of a silly play on words, whatever. That stuff feels right at home in some vintage graphics. And so the graphic I'm going to make for you guys today is going to be a pun. I'm also going to show some of the punny graphics I've done before to kind of show the range of how dumb, frankly, some of the verbiage can be on these shirts. But that stuff really sells. It works really well. Again, if you guys are interested in having me do any graphics for you, you can get in touch with me at Brian Thomas Crooks LLC at Gmail. This one is going to be for the Nifty 50 Wisconsin collection. We're going to do it wholesale. We don't have the full collection built out yet, so you'll see me do some more Wisconsin stuff and some Milwaukee graphics coming up, I'm sure. But if you're interested in any wholesale, you can get in touch with me at Nifty50Apparel at Gmail. That's Nifty50Apparel at Gmail. If you like my graphics and want to see a whole lot more of my stuff, you can go over to my Instagram. My handle is Brian_the_illustrator. And I think that's probably about it. So why don't you guys buckle up, get ready. This is going to be a fun one, and I'll see you on the other side. This first one here is a Christmas graphic. I do a whole lot of Christmas stuff, lots of Santa Claus and lots of reindeer and presents and that sort of thing. This is for KC Shirts. They're one of my favorite clients, and they wanted me to go ahead and do a Santa Claus with kind of a play on words on Santa isn't real, but your parents aren't real. Again, a lot of the stuff for vintage is really corny and really kind of punny, and that's where they were going with that one. More Christmas puns for KC Shirts. The client on this one didn't really have verbiage in mind. She knew she wanted something to be drinking related to Christmas. I messed around forever. I'm thinking about eggnog. I'm thinking about, rum pum pum pum. I'm trying to go through anything I can think of, and lo and behold, I stumbled on It's the Most Wonderful Time for a Beer. I think this is a really fun graphic. She should be having this out for Christmas next year, it sounds like, so kind of keeping out for that one at KC Shirts. Oddly enough, I've done the same graphic twice. This one is for Soda Clothing Company. You guys saw me make the first graphic for them on that Minnesota State Fair. I did one of these for another client before, the Mittens State. I didn't like how that one turned out. It wasn't really exactly how I wanted, so when Soda wanted me to do another version of it, I got really excited. I think this is a lot more fun. And again, dad jokes, dad puns, brewski. I mean, it kind of writes itself. I think in my experience, the undisputed king of these pun graphics is a company I used to do a lot of graphics for called Kentucky for Kentucky. They had a whole Valentine's Day collection of just funny names of cities in Kentucky, and this is one of the ones I did for them. So Moorhead, Kentucky sucks so good. There was like a sugar tit. There was all kinds of these really silly Kentucky names that they wanted me to do graphics for. Beaver Lick was one of them. But I mean, these are really, really, really easy to do if you're working with something that's already kind of a funny word. More puns, again from Kentucky for Kentucky. Y'almighty, obviously a play on almighty. Just silly, just a silly dad kind of a pun. Really straightforward graphic, but makes it really easy to build the graphic around if you already have some fun words to play with. Another graphic for Kentucky, born and breaded. Obviously a play on born and bred. Go ahead and make Kentucky into a chicken wing or chicken leg, I guess, more of a drumstick. I prefer drums, people prefer flats. I don't get that. But yeah, food stuff usually works really well for some humor. There's lots of room in there to be a little bit silly with like local food and stuff like that. Kentucky for Kentucky just keeps on coming with these silly puns. This one was originally just High on Bluegrass, and I sent it over to them with that banjo illustration. They were like, let's make it a little bit more obvious. So High on Bluegrass, add and drugs there at the little bit at the bottom. They were for sure the silliest client that I've worked with. They had a lot of fun graphics. I've had a whole lot of fun making stuff for them. Very last one here for Kentucky. This one was fun. Lake it till you make it. They wanted a water skiing graphic. Turns out when you water ski, you're really far away from the boat. So trying to do a boat and the water skiers wouldn't work. Kind of came together with the idea of having the water skier with the lady on his shoulders, and then making the spray from the water ski look like the shape of Kentucky. Just an overall fun graphic to put together. It's always kind of fun when you can put your heads together with your client and come up with something fun to solve a challenge you didn't really put to run into when you started making the graphic in the first place. And we're going to round things off here with one more punny graphic for my home state. I mentioned before that I'm a Chicago guy. That's where I kind of grew up, but I've been living in Iowa since 2013. I also went to the University of Iowa, and so this state is very near and dear to my heart. If Kentucky has, fried chicken, Iowa's got corn out the wazoo. And so Iowa, keep it corny, just get a little bit silly, turn the ear of corn into an eye. This is the kind of humor that really works well with vintage tees. Okay, let's get started on the actual graphic for this video here. I did this poster for a company called Drink Wisconsinly. They have Curd Fest every year. We just kind of played around with a lot of different ideas, different fun little pieces in here, but I loved the big sort of melted cheese Wisconsin on the poster. I would also probably reuse that old fashioned. I would reuse the Bloody Mary as well. Lots of elements in here that can be repurposed for other graphics, and so I knew I wanted to do something about cheese for Wisconsin. I said, okay, I've got this thing. Let me go ahead and reuse the sketch for that and build a whole new graphic around that, and that's kind of where we started with this one. All right, here's that original sketch that I just pulled back from the Photoshop file to build this new graphic around. Had a kind of an idea of what I wanted to do, and we'll see how it all takes place here and comes together. We're going to go ahead and zoom in and speed things up and get this trace going. If you've seen my other videos, you understand how crazy fast this looks compared to when I do type. There's going to be some type in this graphic, don't panic. It's not just going to be the melted cheese Wisconsin, but it is always kind of wild to me when I rewatch it to see how much faster I can do my traces when it's an illustration compared to when it's the text. I just don't have to be as precise. Things can be looser, they can be tighter, it doesn't matter because there's nothing to really base it on for your mind's eye. And so this came together super fast on the sketch part. So now that our base color is down, we're going to go ahead and add all the shine onto this. Melted cheese is shiny. It just kind of is how it looks. And so I could have left it flat. It would have been fine. But adding the shine to it, I think, elevates the graphic a little bit. With shine, you need to be consistent. That's the number one rule with shine. You're going to see me use a lot of it in this graphic. And as long as you kind of keep the same rule for where the shine is supposed to be and where it hits, it's always going to look pretty good. You just don't want to be kind of haphazard with it and throw it wherever you want to throw it. It needs to make sense graphically. Alright, now it's time to pick a typeface here. I'm going to do a script for sure for the Wisconsin part of this graphic. I spend a lot of time in my script archive looking at the different ones that I have, kind of playing around with different ones, and I don't want to always repeat myself and be kind of one-trick pony here with my type. Large Lake is the first one that I'm going to try out here. I use Large Lake a lot for athletic stuff. It works really well for baseball, any kind of vintage athletics. I looked at it and right away I'm like, that ain't it. That's not hitting. And so, there were some other ones I also wanted to consider. So I come in here and I think the one that I go with is it's called Oh Chewy. It's a little bit thicker. It's got more body to it. And that's kind of what I felt like would work better with this really heavy sort of a cheese graphic, is to go with something that has a little bit more thickness and a little bit more sort of smoothness and roundness to it. So I went with Oh Chewy here, and I'm going to go ahead and shut up and show you guys the tracing of the type and the building of the rest of this thing. Ignore this colorway. It's going to look like I'm making a Charlotte Hornets graphic from 1997. That's not what this is. I use those colors just because I know those aren't the colors that I'm going to use, and it helps it to really stand out when I do use the actual colors in the graphic. I'm going to blend this together, kind of give it a 3D drop shadow, like it's coming forward a little bit, and then I'm going to go ahead and trace and kind of build the rest of the illustration around that. And again, damn if this doesn't look slow compared to how fast I was able to trace that cheese, Wisconsin. Text, I just, it's not supposed to look crazy. I only trace my text so that it feels more, hand done, frankly. I mean, it has the wobbly edges, it has the rounded corners. That's what my look is supposed to be. And so I take my time on this. There's no reason to rush through it. I don't feel like I was rushing the Wisconsin part, the cheese Wisconsin either. But with type, I'm as precise as I can be, so I'm staying true to the letter form without making it perfectly smooth vectors, tight corners, all of that. This is actually a really well done typeface as it is. I don't need to add a whole lot to it. There's sometimes that, like you saw with Large Lake, your script doesn't ligature, so I had to build ligatures in sometimes between some letters. There's, I used Blackjack previously on that Dirty Water graphic for the Red Sox. The O ligature, which I didn't actually use in that graphic, is at the bottom instead of like the middle or the top of the O, so I fix that one all the time. This one's already pretty much ready to go, so all I'm doing here is tracing it so that it has that hand feel to it. There's areas that are too tight to be done the way that I like, so I open those up a little bit, but really this is a well done typeface. It's kind of out of the box, ready to go. You're about to see a recurring theme with this graphic and most of my graphics if I use black in them. I don't know why Illustrator does this, but for some reason black defaults down to whatever weird mix of CMYK that is. I need my black to be 100% CMYK. I call that rich black. Sometimes if you have it on grayscale, it'll default down to 100% K, which looks really crazy under a weathering layer, but this mix does not look like full black under a weathering layer. I'll show you guys at the end the difference in the blacks, but I fix my black over and over and over again. It needs to be 100% CMYK, so I'm going to fix that right now, and you're going to see after I go ahead and trace around the drop shadow, the 3D drop shadow here, and I turn that into a solid vector behind the text for Wisconsin, it's going to default back to that. If someone knows why it does that, holler at me, because I can't stand that, and it frustrates me to no end. And so I used to have a swatch that was just rich black that I would use in all of my graphics, and it would take care of that for me. When I'm working out of the Pantone coded color book, it doesn't have a black. That's 100% CMYK, so I have to do it manually. I don't add a swatch each time I do it anymore, but like I will show you guys how bad it looks if it uses whatever default black Illustrator comes up with. It doesn't look right, especially under a weathering layer. It drives me nuts. If it's just 100% K, it's even worse. So you're going to see me fix that over and over and over again in this graphic, and really any graphic you see me make that has black in it, I'm doing that constantly. And as you see there, it's already changed it back. It was 100% CMYK a second ago. It's already back to that weird mix. I'm going to fix it again because I keep on doing this over and over and over. Even after I change it, it like defaults back on its own. I don't know why, but it needs to quit doing that because it's really giving me a lot of spilkus and my genetic zoink. This would have been fine by itself. I wanted to add shine to the text as well. I do this to just elevate my script typefaces sometimes. I've got a number of graphics that I do this on. I don't know when I first did this, but my background before getting into graphic design, the reason I wanted to become a designer, become an illustrator, is because I was the graffiti kid in high school and middle school. I always had like a sketchbook just full of different graffiti sketches. I never put one on a wall because I am a coward and didn't want to go to jail or anything, but letter forms was kind of my gateway drug into graphic design and illustration, and I've always loved different fills inside the letters that you often see with, really well done graffiti from, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, different kind of fills. Without getting crazy, there's a little bit of shine. It just makes your type look cool. I don't have a better word for it. It takes a little bit of time to do, and again, the key is to be consistent. You're going to see me over and over again kind of check to make sure that I have it in the right place, especially if I'm repeating letters in here. Wisconsin repeats that S, and so I want to make sure that the S looks right on both sides. Same with the I. And so you're going to see as I do these, I want to make sure the shine is in the same place because we're working off of what's supposed to be a realistic light source. That's the wrong place, Brian. There's the right place. And so I do that a lot, where I just want to make sure that it looks like light is coming from somewhere and actually impacting the text in the right way. Realistically, this could be done. There ain't no pun in there yet, and the reason that I wanted to keep on going and adding more to this graphic, number one, is because when I made that cheese Wisconsin in the first place, it's sitting on something. There's a ledge, kind of a balcony at the bar. The Drink Wisconsin pub has that kind of upper floor deck to it, which is where the cheese melts down onto. I could have just chopped that off and had it flat on the bottom and had Wisconsin over the top and the cheese. It would have been just fine. I want to add some puns. I want to get silly with this and elevate it a little bit. And so next, you're going to see me add in the text underneath that Wisconsin is sitting on to give it something to be melting over because, that's how physics works. In this case, our pun text is just going to be "say cheese." I came into it with the idea of I need to have something that's going to fit vertically in that space, that's going to, kind of support the weight of the shape of Wisconsin and also fit underneath the shape. I went with abolition, one of my favorite typefaces. I love abolition. I love abolition for, abolition's sake, but I love abolition, the typeface as well. I put it in here and I'm like, oof, I don't know. Maybe I was wrong to say that it should be tall and kind of fit perfectly underneath, but who knows, right? So I'm gonna trace this text, develop it all the way to the end, make the graphic like this, get a look at it, and see how it turns out. Turns out, as is often the case, my first instincts were wrong. This is covered up too much. It's legible, but it's really covered up too much. I can't make it any taller, because if it gets taller, then the bottom line, the baseline of the text extends beneath the bottom of where that cheese weight is, and then it doesn't look right at all. So I'm going to make a second copy of this, drag it off to the side, and then try some other typefaces and see if I can find one that I think will work a little bit better. And here's the part of the process my clients don't really get to see. My type knowledge is pretty deep. I've got a whole bunch of typefaces that I know that I love. Sometimes I don't know which one I'm going to go with, and so I spend a lot of time sort of cycling through my types. I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of typefaces that I have. Here's a whole bunch of them. This is ARB. There's a bunch of ARB typefaces. I forget the number after this one. I like this one. I'm going to try it out. I use it all the time. I pop it in there and I'm like, you know what? Now it's too wide. It's the opposite problem that I have with abolition. This thing is going to get so wide that to make Wisconsin balance on top, because Wisconsin is kind of, the headline of the graphic, to make it balance on top, then Wisconsin has to get huge, and then that means that the shape, the cheese Wisconsin underneath it gets too small. I love that typeface. It's got to go. So I'm going to mess around with some other ones here. I try out, I think the next one I try is Cocoa Goose. There's a couple of Cocoa Goose typefaces that I like a whole lot. I used to use a standard Cocoa Goose all the time. The one that I like more, they have compressed, trial, bold Cocoa Goose that you're going to see me use, I'm sure, a lot if you watch enough of my graphics. But I try standard Cocoa Goose because it's wider, but again, I kind of run into the same problem as you're going to see here in a sec, where it just doesn't really fit the space quite so well. Now at this point, your boy's getting desperate, and you can tell I'm getting desperate because I'm messing with the tracking, I'm messing with the kerning between individual letters. I'm trying to make this work, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, it's just not it. It's not what's up. I'm trying, but this is not really the right typeface for this graphic. This happens sometimes where I don't really know specifically what I'm going to go for, and I need you to kind of pace through my library typefaces until I can find the right one that's really going to work for this graphic. As you see, you can make anything technically work. That's not what's up, though. So what I settle on here is Gin and Tonic, one of my favorite typefaces. Gin and Tonic is like an elevated version of Copperplate Gothic. Copperplate, it's too skinny. I hate it. It doesn't look what it's trying to look like at all. This is a better version of that kind of a look. This is another Copperplate typeface, but it's just really, really, really well done. I love it. Love Gin and Tonic. Hate the drink Gin and Tonic. Didn't know it tasted like Pine Sol, but I love the Gin and Tonic typeface. And so when I looked at it, I'm like, there's the one that fits so well in that space. Now we are off to the races. boy, I'm really happy it was gin and tonic instead of abolition. You know, abolition would have worked, it would have been fine. Gin and tonic fits so much better. It balances out the whole graphic so much more. It's so much more legible. This was for sure the right way to go. All stuff now is to finish everything up. I'm going to show you how weird it looks to have the weird mix of Illustrator black in there. So at first, this might not look that bad to you. I'm going to show you how much worse it looks when it goes to 100% K first. Then we're going to bump it up to the rich black, and you can see how much fuller it looks. But 100% K, which you're going to see here in a second, will straight up look gray. Look at that. You bump it all the way up to 100% on all your colors, and it looks so much richer, so much fuller. It'll stay that way unless I touch it or move it, and so for production's sake, when we go to make the film on this one, it will look correct. It's not going to look all washed out and charcoal looking. And there's our pun graphic. The Wisconsin cheese pun graphic is in the books. This was a fun one to work on. Took some twists and turns I didn't really see coming, but it's always fun if you can start with an existing element and build a graphic around it instead of having to start from scratch and going to the sketch stage. Anytime I have something that's like an individual piece in my system that I want to turn into something else, it makes it a whole lot easier for everything else to come together. This one I think is going to be a pretty fun hit. I think, you know, from knowing what I know about Wisconsin, spent a lot of time there, people love their cheese. This one should go really well with our Wisconsin and Milwaukee assortments. Again, if you guys want me to make a graphic for you, you can get at me at brianthomascrooksllc@gmail. If you want this as a wholesale item for your store, if you're in Wisconsin, if you're in Milwaukee, you can get in touch with me at nifty50apparel@gmail, nifty50apparel@gmail. You can also go to our website, nifty50apparel.com, and see kind of all of our graphics and assortments there. And if you want to see more of my work, you can follow me at Instagram at Brian_the_illustrator, and I will see you guys next time.